Spider-Man Homecoming is not a Spider-Man movie. It may look like a Spider-Man movie, it may sound like a Spider-Man movie, but it's not about Spider-Man. In fact, it's not about anything. It doesn't have a story. Now you may be thinking, sure it does. Spider-Man, he's trying to be a Spider-Man, and he's trying to fit into high school, and he's trying to do these things, and he's got to fight the Vulture, and he's got to do that, and he does all this, and Iron Man's there, and Iron Man's like, you can't be Spider-Man on the Avengers, and Spider-Man's like, but I already did, and then stuff happens, and it's a movie. What do you mean it's not a story? I mean, it doesn't have a theme. There's no arcs. There's no character arcs. There's no story arcs. Things just happen. And to me, Spider-Man is such an effective character and such an effective story because it has such a clear theme and message. With great power, there must also come great responsibility. They've done this in every other Spider-Man movie, but not this one. Even in Civil War, they touch on it briefly. Everything in the movie, it looks like Spider-Man. It sounds like Spider-Man, but it's so un-Spider-Man. Let's break this down. What are the things that make Spider-Man great? Why do we like Spider-Man as a character? Well, he's a regular guy with relatable everyday problems who also has to be a superhero, has been gifted with great power, and thus has this great responsibility to do the right thing. And his main conflict, his main struggle, is having to sacrifice what he wants in order to do the right thing. He has to sacrifice being selfish to act selflessly. And every time he acts selfishly, things go wrong. His Uncle Ben dies. That causes him to want to do the right thing and to prevent that from happening again. He feels guilty because he's at fault for his own uncle dying. He could have prevented it if he wasn't selfish. That's what makes Spider-Man such an interesting character. None of that is in Homecoming. None of that pathos is there. None of what makes him interesting is part of his character. It's like, yeah, but he's in high school and he's gotta he deals with everyday stuff, and it's like, and stuff. But none of the there's no real conflict. Everything that happens in the movie is just nonsense. Like, oh yeah, he's got everyday problems that I can relate to, like wanting to join the Avengers and having girls that like me but for no reason and not acting on it, and they still like me for some reason. And having an internship with a multi-billion-dollar company, and having bullies from my math class that have actual reasons for bullying me, and like, oh no, the guy in charge of the debate team or whatever is like slightly upset with me that I was late for the thing, but there's actually no consequences. Everything that happens in the movie, there's no consequences, and Spider-Man learns nothing, and it's fucking dumb. Okay, here we go, buddy. So, fucking Liz Allen. Why does she like him? It makes no sense. And everything that he does makes no sense, too. So, okay. So she likes him for some reason. Sure. He likes her because she's hot and he's a teenage boy. I'm on board with that. I understand that. So she's like, hey, Peter, come to this party and invite Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, I'll definitely do that. And then he's like, oh man, how am I going to show up in this party as Spider-Man? What do I do? And he just doesn't go to the party. And it's like, what? Why not? I don't understand. What is your motivation for doing this? Well, he's got to fight the bad guys. So? A hot girl wants you to go to her party? You're a nerd. Go, you fucking idiot. Okay, and then later, she's like, hey, Peter, come to the pool with us. Probably gonna be skinny dipping. She doesn't say that, but I think there's skinny dipping happening. Let's be real. And he's like, yeah, I'll go. And then he doesn't. What? Why not? What is wrong with you? Why would you not do that? It doesn't make any sense. Are you not human? What the fuck? Spider-Man, what are you doing? So then she's like, hey, come to the dance with me. And he's like, okay. And then, like, that happens. And it's like, what the fuck? None of it makes any sense. So, like, firstly, why does she like him? I don't know. Every chance that she gives him, he fucking lets her down, and she still likes him for some reason. It makes no goddamn sense. Second, why doesn't he fucking do those things? It's like, oh, because he's gotta be Spider-Man and stuff. And it's like, I don't feel that. That doesn't feel earned to me. Like, it's oh, but he's got to go fight the Vulture or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but like, every time something like this happens in the comics or whatever, you understand why Spider-Man has to sacrifice these personal things for fighting bad guys, and every time that he does, he suffers for it. Here, I don't even know if that's his motivation at all. We get one line about how, oh, I can't put Aunt May through this after what she's been through. She can't know about my powers because of what she's been through. And, like, that's all we get. And it's like, that's your reference to Uncle Ben for the fans. Okay, thanks. Fuck.
And the movie's good. The movie has a great heart, and the movie's made for the fans.
And so, like, I don't understand why what his motivations are for doing any of the things he does. Why does he feel like he's got to fight the Vulture? Why would he not go to the party? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why he does any of the things he does in this movie. And afterwards, there's no consequences for anything. He's like, yeah, Liz, I'll definitely show up at your party, and Spider-Man will be there. Spider-Man doesn't show up, and she's like, that's fine, come skinny dipping with me. And then he doesn't do that, and she's like, that's fine, come to the dance with me. What? Why wouldn't she be mad at him? Okay, so in the comics, and I'm gonna fucking do this a lot, in the comics, there's an issue where Liz is like, hey, Peter, you know what, you've asked me out on dates a bunch of times, and I've always said no, but you know what, I'm gonna cut you a break, we'll go on one date, because I feel bad for you, because you're a loser, and you suck. But you know what, I'll just take pity on you this once, and go on a date with you. And then he's like, right, great, except I can't, because I gotta go do Spider-Man stuff. And she's like, well, there goes your fucking chance. You blew it. And he's like, shit, damn it. Fuck, and you feel it. You're like, oh man, that sucks. He could have gone on a date with a hot girl that he likes, but instead he has to go be Spider-Man. That's too bad. But in this, it's like, oh, don't worry, Peter. There'll be like 6 other chances for you to go get with this girl. Like, it'll be fine. It's fine. She doesn't care. She just likes you anyways for some reason. And it makes no goddamn sense. Okay. So, on top of that, we got, like, Flash Thompson, and this is a whole fucking thing, because, alright, Flash Thompson is supposed to be a jock football player who just bullies Peter for no reason. And obviously we got a different version of that in the movie. That could have been fine, because Flash Thompson is just another obstacle in Peter's life. But, like, the whole point of him is he's just like an asshole guy that goes to high school and is like, hey, you suck because you're a nerd. But in this, he's a nerd too. And all the reasons he's like making fun of Peter are like legitimate reasons. It's like, hey, fuck you didn't show up to our debate team. Hey, why are you slacking off? Hey, how come this guy, there's no penalty for him, like, missing our debate team and, like, being late for shit, and all the teachers just, like, let him pass. And he's like, fuck that guy. You know what, I'm on Flash's side. Fuck Peter, because he's just, like, fucking slacking off on everything, and there's no consequences for anything that he does. It's stupid. Okay, so Iron Man's also in this movie, because you gotta put Iron Man in it, and it's... okay, Robert Downey Jr. is great in the role, and obviously, and, like, any movie he shows up in, he's going to be good in it. And none of the actors is the problems that I have with this movie. It's the fucking story. Let's get to the main shit. So the main fucking arc that Peter has in this movie is, I'm nothing without the suit. You can't take the suit from me. And then Tony Stark is like, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve it. And he's like, what? And that's the lesson he has to learn. And it's, what? Of course he doesn't need the suit. He has fucking spider powers. Like, what? How does he not already know that? Like, he was doing Spider-Man shit before he got the cool, fancy suit. Why is it the whole emphasis on the suit, this fucking stupid Iron Man suit that he has, that has 1,000,000 powers for no reason, when Spider-Man already has powers? You know what's cool about Spider-Man is he's smart and he has to figure out his shit on his own because he doesn't have a fucking babysitter. He's the whole point that of Spider-Man that was in Stan Lee's original pitch was, no, he's a teenager who has to be a superhero on his own. He's not a sidekick to anyone, and he has to fucking deal with real everyday problems that regular people have to deal with, like being poor and having a sick aunt and like needing a job and getting bullied and like regular shit that people have to deal with, having trouble getting a girlfriend, like those kind of regular everyday problems that nerds like us have. And that's why we like Spider-Man, because we can relate to him. I can't fucking relate to this guy because everything is just handed to him and he doesn't learn anything and it's stupid. Okay, so here's the problem with that fucking arc of, oh, if you don't have the suit, then you don't deserve to have the suit. Because this is something that Spider-Man should already know. If you take the suit away from him, he's still Spider-Man. This is like an Iron Man 3 type lesson where Iron Man 3 has tons of problems, but like at least the arc of that movie makes a lot more sense than this one. And that one, it's like the main thing is about, if you take away Tony Stark's Iron Man suit, is he still Iron Man? And the argument in that is, yes, because his power is not in the suit, it's in his brain and the stuff that he can, and what he can do with that. He can design weapons out of anything. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps, and he can do that. That's his power. Spider-Man's power is that he has spider powers. Fucking not that he has a suit. So this whole arc makes no goddamn sense. Oh, I'm nothing without my suit. What do you mean? You have fucking super strength. You can lift a fucking car. You're not nothing. What? And then, to make all the thing worse, is at the end of the movie, Tony Stark's like, you did it, you passed the test that I apparently have, and now we're gonna give you everything you wanted. You're gonna become an Avenger, you're gonna come join the Avengers, you're gonna get the brand new, even awesomer suit, and he says, no, I don't need that. I'm just gonna be Spider-Man on my own. I got this, I'll be there for the little guy. Alright, fair enough. He gets home, he gets the fucking suit. What? None of this, god damn it. None of this makes, so they even throw out the only arc in this movie, even though the arc is fucking stupid. It's like, oh, what the hell is happening? Like, okay, the other problem with the suit, this is way minor compared to like the whole story of the movie, but like, the cool thing about Spider-Man is how, like, he is smart, and he designed his own web shooters, and he has to solve his own problems. Most of the time when he fights villains, he can't just beat them by punching them. He has to outsmart them in some way. He has to design some new... A lot of the time he has to design some new electronic thing in order to defeat them. Like, okay, there's this amazing setup for showing Spider-Man's ingenuity that they don't do. The part where they go to DC, because there's nothing more Spider-Man than going to Washington, DC, and he's climbing on the thing, he loses the parachute, the elevator's gonna explode or whatever the conflict is, I forget, it doesn't matter. And he's like, oh no, if I fall from this, I won't be able to parachute my way down, so I'll just fall and die. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. They're gonna set up the fucking... In the comics all the time, he'll spin a parachute out of his webs and use that as a parachute. And it's awesome. And then it's like, no, just the suit has wings now, so I'll just use that. And it's like, oh, okay. Oh no, I can't rely on the suit because... I have to figure out a way out of this situation without using the suit. I know what I'll use. The suit. What? Fuck this movie. So, okay. So, the other thing about how, like, Spider-Man is just supposed to be like a regular teenager who's not a sidekick to anyone, but in this movie he's just Iron Man's sidekick the whole thing, and every time like he gets into a terrible situation, Iron Man bails him out. And it's like, how's he supposed to learn, how, if he even was gonna learn that with great power comes great responsibility, how is he gonna learn that if every time something goes wrong, Iron Man bails him out? And also, it's the whole conflict of the movie is just how he sucks at being Spider-Man. It's stupid. The conflict should be how being Spider-Man is emotionally and physically draining on his physical life, his social life, and any like personal aspirations that he has. How he has to make personal sacrifices to be Spider-Man. That's what the fucking movie should be about. And it's dumb. Tony Stark just fucking like babysits him the whole movie, and it's stupid. He shouldn't be living in anyone's shadow. He's his own person. He's fucking Spider-Man. He's at least the third most popular superhero character of all time, and without a doubt, Marvel is most popular. You don't need to fucking play second to Iron Man. Iron Man was no one until Robert Downey Jr. showed up. So, but people still fucking liked Spider-Man then. People still saw the fucking Amazing Spider-Man movies, at least the first one. They weren't that good, but at least they were Spider-Man, and people still liked a lot of the stuff in them. So, there's an arc in Ultimate Spider-Man where Iron Man's like, okay, S.H.I.E.L.D. told me that I gotta train you because you're just a teenager and you gotta be a superhero. So like, I guess we'll do this, and it's great, not because Iron Man trained Spider-Man how to be a superhero, but because neither of them want to be there, and it's hilarious. Iron Man's like, yeah, I don't really care, so whatever, I'll just like hang out with you for a bit. And Spider-Man's like, I don't need a babysitter. I've been doing this on my own for a while now. Let me do this on my own. Like, I can do this on my own. And he can, and he does. Iron Man doesn't really help him at all. He shows up, like, drunk at his aunt's house, and at this point, Aunt May knows that he's Spider-Man, and Iron Man's just like, hey, where's Spider-Man? Spider-Man, are you here? And Aunt May's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out. No one knows that he's Spider-Man. You're fucking gonna blow our cover. And he's like, oh shit, right. Thank you, ma'am, for directions. See ya. And he's just like a terrible mentor who doesn't care and doesn't want to be there. And in this, it's like they do this whole like, oh, it's like a father figure thing. I had a father.
His name was Ben Parker.
Fucking damn right his fucking name is Ben Parker. Sam Raimi fucking Spider-Man's amazing. Okay, so in this one they want to, like, okay, we don't want to do the origin movie because we've seen the origin movie like a million times. So I want to do something different. But that doesn't mean it has to be not Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 is not an origin movie, and it's the same lesson. It's with great power comes great responsibility. It's the same thing again, but they double down on the theme. They make it twice as hard for him to be Spider-Man. He's working 2 jobs and he still can't make rent. He wants to date a girl, but he can't because he's fucking Spider-Man. His best friend's like kind of mad at him because he killed his dad. Like, everything in it is great. It's a fucking masterpiece, and we still haven't gotten a better Spider-Man movie than Spider-Man 2. And it's like 12 years old? No, 13 years old? Yeah, we've had like 4 Spider-Man movies since then, and none of them have come even close to Spider-Man 2. Like, what? Like, just do that. Just do Spider-Man 2. Okay, and then there's a part where this is the worst. So there's a part where at first it's great because it's Spider-Man's trying to swing through the city, but he's in the suburbs, so there's no fucking tall buildings, so he's just gotta run. And he's running through people's houses, and then it's like, hey, it's like Ferris Bueller. And then they show Ferris Bueller on the TV, and he runs past it, and he's like, hey, great movie. So this is terrible for 2 reasons. One, they put the wrong song from the scene. It's the scene song that they play, but that's not the song in the scene. It's some other song that you don't remember, but they're like, oh, people only remember the songs, so we gotta put that in the movie, even though that's not the part in the movie. Fuck! Okay, and then, on top of just dumbness, he's like, that's a great movie! Okay, here's a continuity problem. Because we know from fucking Civil War that Spider-Man does not like 80s movies, even though he's a nerd, and it makes no sense, but they established it in fucking Civil War, where he's like, hey guys, remember that really old movie, Empire Strikes Back? And you're like, what? You mean my fucking favorite movie, Spider-Man? I'm your goddamn biggest fan because I'm fucking you. I'm fucking a nerd who can't get a girlfriend and uses comics and movies to fucking escape from my shitty life. And you're telling me that fucking Empire Strikes Back is just some really old movie? No! Star Wars fucking transcends time and space, and you are not Spider-Man. And then in this one, because they're like, oh, we're gonna do it like a John Hughes thing, which is a good idea in concept, but instead they're just put Ferris Bueller in the movie, and that'll trick people into thinking it's good. So then he's like, oh, that's a great movie. No, he should be like, oh, isn't that really old movie from the 80s? Oh man, that's so long ago. Fuck. Okay, my main problem with the movie is it's everything. Okay, Spider-Man is only about with great power comes great responsibility, and it's not about that in this movie. Uncle Ben is non-existent, but that's fine. You don't actually need Uncle Ben to tell that moral. Because you can tell it with Gwen Stacy. You can tell it with literally everything that just happens to him. But they don't. It's not about that. It's just about nothing. It's about, you gotta get the suit if you don't have this, you don't deserve the suit if you don't have the suit. Which is nonsense. And then, it's just like, oh, I want to join the Avengers. And Tony's like, nah. And he's like, but I want to. So Spider-Man is great because he's a goddamn human character. He gets these powers and he acts selfishly, and that leads to his uncle dying, and he's low. So he's like, oh, I should act selflessly with my powers and help people with them. In the movie, he doesn't learn anything or change. At the beginning of the movie, he's like, I want to join the Avengers so I can help people and stuff. And at the end of the movie, he's like, I want to be Spider-Man so I can help people and stuff. He's doing the same thing, but on like just a slightly different level, and it's like that's not a lesson. You didn't learn anything. You're doing this. What? I guess on some kind of level, it's just trying to be like in Civil War. He's joined the Avengers. He's being Spider-Man with all the Avengers, and it's this amazing experience. And now he's just stuck in class. He's stuck. Tony's just like, yeah, just kind of go back to doing the same thing again, but you can keep my cool suit if you want. And then, like, he fucks up a couple times, and Tony's like, okay, you're not ready. I'm gonna take the suit back. And then he keeps doing Spider-Man. Eventually, he gets it right by fucking realizing that he didn't need the suit and all, because of course he didn't. And then Tony's like, oh, okay, you've earned the suit. And that's the movie. And that's like, it's different, obviously, than regular Spider-Man. And different isn't always bad. There's lots of different versions of the Spider-Man character. And you can do lots of different things with them. It's different, but it's just like, I don't understand or relate to Peter's motivations for doing anything. Because it's like, oh, I gotta go be Spider-Man. And Tony's like, nah, just be Spider-Man on a lower level. Be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's a little hint to the fans there.
Made for the fans.
Okay, in The Amazing Spider-Man, yeah, those movies, it was at least about Spider-Man, and everything that happened was like stuff that Spider-Man would do. Like, so in those movies, like, oh no, I gotta fight the lizard. But, like, no one comes to rescue him when he fails. And he suffers for failing. Every time he gets close to someone, they're now in danger. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a fucking thing in this movie. The one character, like, okay, you have your Aunt Mays, you have your his friend guy in the chair friend, and you have Liz. Those are like the three people that Spider-Man is closest to in this movie. None of them are ever in danger. The only one potentially in danger is Liz, but she's not gonna be in danger because her dad is the villain. And like, Vulture is probably the best part of this movie because like I understand his motivations and why he does the things that he does, and most of the time you're like, yeah, I understand like where you're coming from. If anything, I'm on your side. Like, okay, so there's a part where he's like, Vulture's like, I'm gonna kill everyone you love, and it's like, yeah, I buy you. You're pretty scary, Michael Keaton, but like, Liz isn't in any danger, so that one's fine. It's just like his aunt and stuff, but then he just saves the day and it's fine. And the final fight is terrible. I get you don't want to have like a big, dumb fight like they normally do, but give us something. Like, nothing happened. He stops him from heisting the thing, and then they just crash on the beach, and then Vulture's like, hey, I gotta go blow myself up, and Spider-Man's like, wait, no, don't blow yourself up, and then that's it, and it's dumb. That fight at the end of the first Spider-Man with Green Goblin is fucking amazing. It's just so classic. It's great, and it's a fucking story. I mean, like, and that's the thing, is like, everything in this movie is good. It's well directed, it's funny, the actors all do a great job, but it's not Spider-Man. Die Hard's a great movie, but if instead of John McClane it was Spider-Man, and everything happened in Die Hard exactly the same, but Spider-Man was in it, you'd be like, that was a really good movie, but why the fuck was Spider-Man there? And that's what this movie feels like. It's a good movie, mostly, except that you're like, why is this Spider-Man, why is Spider-Man in it if it has nothing to do with Spider-Man? And at least in fucking Die Hard, like, he learns a lesson about being good to his wife and not taking her for granted and like that kind of shit. Where in this, it's like, no, nothing. Oh, if you don't have the suit, then you don't deserve to have the suit. Like, this could work if it was like a Nightwing movie, and Spider-Man was Nightwing and Iron Man was Batman, then it would be fine. Then it would be perfect. But it's not. It's fucking Spider-Man. And then, okay, so then there's the part in where he's trapped under the thing, and for a second you're like, oh shit, this is interesting, because it's like the part in the comics where he's trapped under the thing, and he has to believe in himself, and remember that like he's got to fight for the ones he loves, and he can't give up, and all those things. And they do the fucking thing where his face and the Spider-Man mask, it's like a, wait one sec, I can do this. I have a thing, give me a second. So it's doing this shit in the water, and you're like, oh, it's the thing from the comics that they always do. Little nod to the fans there. But it's like so contrived and it feels unearned because the whole movie is like the concept behind that image. I hate that I have to explain this because the movie doesn't know, is the duality between the character. He's Peter Parker and he's Spider-Man. He has to balance two lives. He has to balance saving people with visiting his aunt for dinner on time. And he can't do both. And that's the conflict of the character. In this movie, it's about him and the suit. Like, what? Those aren't two halves of the same coin. Like, it'd be like if they did that image, but instead of the mask in the water, it was his web shooter, and his web shooter was just like in part of his face, and you'd just be like, what the fuck? And that's what it felt like. And then, to make it all worse, Tony Stark is all like, if you don't deserve the suit, then you don't deserve to have the suit. And then he's like, oh man, I'm gonna... He turns into Morty for a second. He's like, I'm gonna prove you wrong, Rick. I'll show you. You know what, Rick? I'm sick of your shit. I'm gonna lift this thing, and I'm, what about my feelings? Oh, gee, Rick. I don't know if I can be Spider-Man without my suit. Well, Morty, if you don't, if you don't deserve this suit, then you don't deserve to have it, or whatever. Yeah, fuck it. I'm taking the suit. I was wrong. You can't do it. You can't have the suit. Rick. Gee, you know what, Rick? You're wrong about me. I am Spider-Man. I am Spider-Man, Rick. I don't need the suit. And then he lifts the thing, and it's dumb. I actually like the parts of the movie where he is in the old suit more, because at least he's like, oh, I've learned the dumb lesson that I should have already known, where I don't need fucking suit to be Spider-Man because I already have superpowers. You know what? If they did a Captain America movie where he was like, they took his suit, you're no longer, General Ross here, you're no longer allowed to be Captain America because we don't like you, and your suit is dumb. So we're taking it away. It's too old-fashioned. You can't be Captain America anymore because you can't have that suit. And then he was like, no, my suit. I need the suit. I can't be Captain America without the suit. I'm nothing without the suit. You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You still have super strength. Half of the time in the movies, you're not wearing the suit when you're doing Captain America stuff. So you don't need the suit to be Captain America. And he'd be like, oh yeah, true, good point. I forgot I have super strength. And that would be it. But in this movie, it's got it. That's the story. That's theme. That's a character development. Fuck. So I'll just conclude with like one other thing that's dumb about this movie. On top of like, he doesn't learn anything, and I don't understand his motivations as a character. And it's not a Spider-Man movie because there's no great power comes great responsibility theme message, even though that's the only message or thing that Spider-Man ever needs to learn. Oh yeah, and it's a fucking sidekick movie when it's Spider-Man is not a sidekick. So the end of the movie, Tony gives him the suit, even though it goes against the fucking lesson that he learned. And then he's like, yeah, I got the suit. And Aunt May walks in and she's like, what the fuck? And it cuts, and it's dumb. And you're like, and you laugh because, that's a funny joke. So this is terrible for two reasons. Wait, how many reasons? This is terrible for multiple reasons. Firstly, it's just a joke. It's just meant to be a joke. And then it ends the movie. What a fun time at the movies we had. And like, oh, that was a fun time. Look at all the laughs we had. Remember the part where they played Blitzkrieg Bop? I liked that part. That was good. I liked that part. Remember the part where they had the handshake? That was a cool handshake. I want to learn that handshake. I actually know the handshake. It's fun. That's the main problem with the movie. It's like, oh, that was a passable time. That was an enjoyable time. But it's fucking Spider-Man. It should be, like, so Sony has been ruining the Spider-Man movies for a while now, because they're like, we gotta set up a franchise of movies. And then everyone was like, yay, Marvel is making the Spider-Man movie, so they're gonna make sure it's good. And then they just do a regular Marvel movie. So Spider-Man is the most popular Marvel character. This should be the greatest movie that Marvel has done. But it's like, as good as Doctor Strange or Ant-Man. And like, but it's Spider-Man. It's the most interesting of your characters. It's the most popular of your characters. How is this not the greatest movie you've done since like Winter Soldier? How is it that fucking Captain America has better movies than Spider-Man? How is it that Thor now has better movies than Spider-Man? We don't care about those guys. We didn't care about them until the movies came out. But Spider-Man is like a timeless character. Everyone liked Spider-Man since the 60s. And now it's like, yeah, that was good. That was good. The other problem with the Aunt May scene is like, Aunt May finds out he's Spider-Man. Okay, that's an interesting story. I would like to see what happens there, but we're not gonna fucking get it, because there's no way the next Spider-Man movie we get in 4 years is gonna start right there at that scene, because that's a fucking cliffhanger ending, which would be great if this was a TV show and next week we got to see her reaction and that whole conversation. But nope, we're not gonna friggin' get that, because Spider-Man's gotta go to space in Infinity War next summer, coming soon, and then like there's gonna be another Infinity War movie or Avengers 4 or something that's gonna happen, and like a few years later we're eventually gonna get another Spider-Man movie, and like it's gonna have to take place after all the Avengers movies and stuff, so it's gonna have to take place a few years later, where Aunt May's already known about him being Spider-Man for a few years. We're not gonna get that story. Like it's just gonna be, this is the new status quo. Aunt May knows. Oh, okay. Like there's a whole story there that they could have done, but no, we can't because of the formula. So this movie's dumb and it's not Spider-Man, and I hate it. It's dumb. So one last thing that's dumb about Homecoming. So at the beginning of the movie, they introduced the Vulture's origin, and he got fucked over by Stark Industries and by the damage control people, and he's like, oh well, fuck that, I'm just gonna go steal shit. And he's got this picture that it's like, oh, my daughter drew this picture of the Avengers. I guess that's who kids draw pictures of nowadays. Yeah, isn't that interesting? And then it cuts 8 years later, and the movie starts. So this movie fucked up the whole Marvel timeline so that Vulture could have a picture drawn by his daughter. It's stupid.